Thanks for tuning in to leftcoastnews.net. News and information from the wacky, sometimes communist, liberal west coast of the United States. For more, visit leftcoastnews.net.
And it appears in Seattle that the incumbent mayor, Bruce Harrell, is going to be beaten out by leftist socialist Katie Wilson. Wilson, 43, leads Harrell, 67, by a razor-thin margin of 50.25% as officials continue to count the ballots from Election Day. Pretty much they've decided that she is unbeatable at this point. In the meantime, Wilson revealed that her parents, both professors, have been funding her personal life with cash payments. They send me a check periodically to health care expenses, Wilson, 43, told KUOW last month. It just seems so right that the next Seattle mayor is being supported by her mommy and daddy. That money goes towards daycare for Wilson's 2-year-old, which costs $2,200 per month, so she can focus on her campaign instead of raising her child. She's married, by the way, has a husband. Apparently he's too busy for the kid, too. The crushing expenses of living in Seattle inspired her to run for the office in the first place, and the mayoral hopeful who moved to Seattle in her 20s with her now husband. My husband and I were just kind of juggling our kid back and forth, but then when I decided to run, we're like, we really need childcare. Her parents' investment may pay off. Wilson, who focused on homelessness, taxing the rich, and other progressive policies, is at the cusp of unseating the Democrat Harrell. He shot to a 10,000 vote head start on Election Day, but his early lead soon melted away as the tallies came in. Wilson, who was raised in Binghamton, New York, just what we need is a New Yorker running the city of Seattle. By her parents, Ann Barrett Clark and David Sloan Wilson, both evolutionary biologists. She graduated in 2000 as a salutatorian from Binghamton High School before studying physics and philosophy at Balliol College of Oxford in England. Oh, England. Mommy and Daddy paid for that, no doubt. She dropped out of Oxford 6 weeks before graduation and moved to Seattle in 2004. Wow. So she's a finisher, huh? She's a quitter, it sounds like, because, Mommy and Daddy will pay. She doesn't need a good job. She worked several jobs after moving, including working in boat repair, construction, and as an office assistant. Well, she could have really used that degree. In fall 2011, Wilson co-founded the Seattle Transit Riders Union, a nonprofit 501c4 focused on improving public transportation in Seattle and King County, where she's been a paid full-time employee since 2019. Tax records show she earned almost $73,000 from the nonprofit in 2022 when she worked 55 hours per week. She also served as executive director and the group's board president, an unpaid position. The TRU is an organization that campaigns and lobbies for progressive causes. In 2020, Wilson played a role in the creation of Seattle's Jumpstart tax, a payroll tax on you, the working class, because she doesn't work that hard, right? A payroll tax on private employers to fund affordable housing. She was critical of Mayor Bruce Harrell for proposing redirecting Jumpstart funds to balance the city's budget instead of affordable housing projects. All socialism, taking your money from your paycheck and giving it to others so they can have a crappy little house. Wilson was also a member of Harrell's Seattle Revenue Stabilization Work Group, which explored and recommended additional progressive revenue to address the city's budget deficit. For several years, Wilson was also a member of the board of Economic Opportunity Institute. Wilson is married to fellow activist Scott Myers, whom she met during high school in Binghamton. They rent a one-bedroom apartment on Capitol Hill and have one daughter. Katie Wilson does not own a car and primarily rides public transit to get around Seattle with her daughter. I don't understand. Things are not getting better in Seattle, and you continue to vote for people like this who will just continue to take your money, create new taxes for you to pay when you go places to spend your money, to pay for people who don't work for it, who use drugs, who live on the streets. And again, throwing money at the problem does not solve it. Clearly, it's only gotten worse after spending hundreds of millions of dollars on homelessness and affordable housing and drug addiction, all things which are supported and pushed by the city. You have them creating the problem. At the same time, they claim to be trying to solve the problem to someone else. That is socialism. Government takes your money and redistributes it however they see fit. Like enriching themselves, giving to NGOs that go and buy houses, 8,200 square foot houses, and et cetera, 72-inch TVs for their offices. When are the people of Seattle going to wake up? You're voting yourself out of. When does it end? Well, you may not be aware of this one. Starting October 1st, the state of Washington is now charging tax on digital entertainment because there is nothing they cannot find a way to tax you for. Retail sales tax applies to digital entertainment subscription fees. These subscriptions allow a user to download digital products such as movie streaming videos, television programming, music, ebooks, mobile apps, games, etc. It does not matter if the user pays for permanent or limited 24-hour period use rights. These digital entertainment providers must collect and submit retail sales tax and pay business and occupation B&O tax under the retail classification if they both have a physical presence in Washington or have subscribers located in the state. An example would be Company A is located outside of Washington but has a physical presence in Washington. Company A offers an online subscription for digital entertainment. This includes streamed access to hundreds of thousands of hours of current season TV programming, premium original content, films, full season of hit series, a limited commercials option. Company A's subscription sales represent the sale of digital goods. Company A must collect and submit retail sales and pay retailing B&O taxes on their subscription income received from Washington customers. Digital goods are sounds, images, data, facts, or information, or any combination transferred electronically. This includes digital audiovisual works. Digital audiovisual works are a series of related images which, when shown in succession, impart an impression of motion together with accompanying sounds, if any. This includes Zoom training. If you sign up for a Zoom class, you will be charged sales tax for that. Another regressive tax by the state of Washington that will negatively impact poor people because you're going to pay more to watch TV now. You're going to pay more to stream music or try to have any enjoyment or entertainment in your life. They're going to tax you for that because there is nothing they can't tax you for in this state. Why? Why do you keep voting for this? They literally tax us for everything in this state. And we pay some of the highest taxes in the country. I just don't understand why working people are okay with paying and paying and paying this state. For what? What do they do with your money? Waste it. Our roads are in awful condition. They don't spend money on that. They don't spend money on infrastructure. It's all about drugs and homelessness. Do you not want to enjoy the fruits of your labor to keep the money you earn? If you want to give it away, you can give your own money away at any time. You have the ability to go donate your money to whoever you would like. That's your choice, but don't force us all to hand over our money. Just more examples of socialism. Transfer of wealth. Taking from those who have and giving to those who have not. Wake up. Well, along with the crime problems we face in the Pacific Northwest and on the left coast in general, and the state's love of criminals, the state also loves taxes. And I don't know if you're aware, but Seattle, the council and the mayor approved a sales tax that will be one of the highest in the country. Could hit as high as 10.35%. The Seattle City Council approved a 0.1% public safety tax increase in October, which now has been signed by Bruce Harrell. The new tax will raise $39 million next year for public safety. Oh, but we don't have a crime problem here. Why do we need that? Including $7.5 million for addiction treatment and crisis response teams. The entire council voted in favor of the tax hike, except for council member Maritza Rivera, who claimed it would hurt low-income families. No kidding. Today, recovery wins. These progressive investments will save lives and fill gaping holes in our response to Seattle's drug crisis. I've led the charge to put addiction treatment at the center of the city's agenda because the fentanyl epidemic and addiction are root causes of our public safety and chronic homelessness, challenges Council President Sarah Nelson said. Investing this new revenue in recovery services isn't just fiscally responsible decision, it is fundamentally the morally right thing to do. Thank you to the mayor's office, my colleagues, and the frontline community organizations for their critical support in making this a reality. So your tax dollars, again, going to these NGOs that like to steal the money, buy houses with the money, buy cars with the money, pay off their credit cards with money. I mean, we've seen this, right? Talked about it. Also, the drug problem in Seattle directly connected to the government because they support giving these people drugs. They're out there passing out needles, telling people how to safely inject themselves, putting up posters about how to boof. If you're not familiar with that, that's shooting the whatever your drug of choice right up your ass instead of into a vein. And not only does it get you high faster, I've heard it lasts longer, but the city claims it's safer. I've seen those posters. King County Health. They have pushed this drug addiction problem, supported it, never admitting in the past that this is a cause of homelessness. They are now, because that's their excuse to extract more money from your paycheck. to extract more money from you when you go to the store to buy already outrageously priced items. Why do people keep voting for this? You work hard for your money. You don't want to keep it? You'd rather just give it all away? Priorities for the revenue include expanding access to on-demand, residential, and intensive outpatient substance use disorder treatment, which is currently happening through a pilot project, and enhancing access to recovery housing and recovery-based services within existing low-barrier permanent supportive housing. With the federal government abandoning our vulnerable neighbors, we need to strengthen and dedicate our local resources to assist our communities. Yeah, this isn't about the federal government. This is about local government pushing, supporting the drug problem, the homelessness problem, the crime problem. All excuses to take your money and claim that it's being used for these resources, which hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent on all these problems already, and nothing has gotten better. It's only spiraled out of control, gotten worse. Steve Woolworth, Chief Executive Officer at Evergreen Treatment Services, who will probably be the benefactor of a lot of this money, said, "I am grateful to Council President Nelson and Mayor Harrell for their leadership and for securing and guiding these needed investments at the intersection of public health and safety." Also, notice there's no talk about law enforcement. That's not their idea of public safety. Their idea of public safety is these little drum circles and sit around and talk about it, and it doesn't work. Critics warn that this sales tax increase is regressive and wouldn't stop the city's long-term budget problems. Seattle's current sales tax rate is already one of the highest in the country. Chicago's is 10.25, New York City's 8.88, San Francisco is 8.63, and Boston's is 6.25 for reference. Just what we need is more taxes. Obviously, it's going to hurt people who don't make a lot of money already. It's going to make it more difficult for them to buy, more expensive for them to buy anything. Who cares, right? This is socialism, communism, transfer of wealth, quote unquote, whatever wealth you have, taking your money and giving it to someone else. And generally speaking, no accountability for where this money goes or how it's used. You've had other NGOs in Seattle buying elaborate office space, 72-inch TVs, all kinds of garbage. Have we seen any improvement over the last 5 years? Hundreds of millions of dollars already poured into this hole with no effect. It's gotten worse. But hey, keep voting for this garbage. Keep voting to make yourself poor, working for the benefit of others. I don't get it.